Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Can I move this? I can't see. I can't see my lovely chat peoples. Alright, I'm just going to make sure this is running under the correct heading and that you guys can hear me. Okay, I hear myself, so that seems like it's working. Greetings! Oh, whoa, psychedelic. Ghost in the shell. What's going on, folks? Welcome to yet another Let's Prep. This is going to be something a bit different. I'm going to call this a tool for your GM belt, if you will. Liven it up. It's lighten up. So I had this idea. I was at Page, and I was playing a game of Magic the Gathering with Ducky, who wrote the Peasantry RPG. Just for a fun little bit of inside scoop here, we were playing a game of Magic the Gathering one night with Luke Stratton of Pirate Borg. He brought his Magic the Gathering decks and let us play a game with him while we were waiting for their game to get done. And we were playing the game, and I had this thought. It occurred to me that Magic the Gathering has a perfect through line to games like D&D for quick NPC generation. Now, this is not going to be a end-all be-all tool for everyone out there, but think of this as an Allen wrench in your tool belt, a specific tool for a specific need. You know, we've all had those games where we're playing, we're having a good time, and all of a sudden the party gets really attached to an NPC, a very thinly veiled cardboard goblin NPC, right? Or Moblin the Goblin. We come up with a name, and now we need to flesh out their character, decide who they are, what they want, what their motivations are, and things like that. But you made up this goblin on the spot. So this is a tool using knowledge of Magic the Gathering colors. And don't worry, if you're not a Magic the Gathering fan, I'm going to break down what each of these colors means. And hopefully by the end of it, it'll be a universal tool that is applicable to anyone, not just people who played that one card game. So I'm going to dive straight in. Thank you guys all for being here. Hopefully you can see me. Hopefully you can hear me. And hopefully you're having a good evening. By the way, quick little note here. This is going to be my new time, my new regular time for these live streams, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. So thanks for tuning in with the new time frame. But let's switch cams here, and we're going to do a little exercise. So these are our 5 colors of magic. We have white, otherwise known as plains. We have blue, islands. Black, swamp. Red for mountains. And last but not least, green for the forest. Now, in Magic the Gathering, there is this very thought-out color wheel, right? Yeah, as Bacon just said, or rather, Twin Steel. There's a color wheel replaced alignment house rule you should check out. We're probably going to get at the same thing, so actually, let me grab one book super fast. Wouldn't be a live stream if I didn't run away to grab something. So I was thinking about this color wheel and how it applies to like on-the-fly NPCs or factions even. And in fact, I realized as I was like fleshing out this idea that I've already done this. I already implement it without even thinking about it. So let's break down what the colors are first, and then we'll get into how the tool works. Just so if you're out there and you're not a Magic the Gathering fan, these colors don't mean anything to you yet. Let's kind of break down what they can mean. I'm going to pull up in my notes here because I don't want to go too far off script. All right. So, we're going to start on the right here with plains. This is our white mana. So in Magic the Gathering, white has a theme all about preservation. It's all about preservation centered around a cause, order, structure, law, morality. In one word, and I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings here. I'm gonna boil this down to a single word. Community. So, community is a strong tie for white. Whether it's an insular kind of community that protects itself, whether it's the ideal of a larger community, whether it's just the notion of law and order. White puts its emphasis on protecting community. This is Mother of Runes. My family protects all families. A lot of white cards are centered around the growth of a community, the stability of community, and order and law and justice. Very human ideals. All right, so we're going to put white aside for a second. Next we have blue. Blue is all about having options, the idea of control. Through cunning, through knowledge, through manipulation, deliberation, through the ideas of mastery, or as I'm going to use the term here, perfection. It's all about the betterment of the world through specific belief ideal, which I know can kind of sound like white here, but like this idea of adaptation, of growth, of learning, of knowledge, of perfection, of thoughtful deliberation. So blue is the ideal of control or perfection. And here we have our counterspell, which is, if you've played Magic the Gathering, the embodiment of blue is, no, you can't do that. I have a better idea, and my way is right. So, all right. That's blue. I'm going to move kind of fast through this part because it's not the exciting part of this, right? Not the main goal here. Then we have black, our swamp. And this ideal centers on, this was kind of a hard one to boil down in a thematic way because black in Magic has a very specific sort of feel to it. And I'm trying to, I'm centering these around the idea of NPC generation. So the thing I came up with black is that it is about ruthlessness, even selfishness at times, but more than anything, it's ambition at any cost. So the way I'm sort of embodying black for this purpose is unrelenting ambition. Ambition that is not hindered by morality. Ambition that doesn't care about the damage it does along the way. It cares about the end result only. This is an ambition untethered by things like regret. This is zombification. This is your lich, right? That just wants to keep living and doesn't care how he gets there. So this is black. Here's our force of despair. Black destroys all around it for the sake of its own goals. Okay, then we have red. Now red, I've personified red as raw potential, emotion, chaos embodied, impulse, freedom. So red cares about results most of all. It doesn't care. This is, a guy in an alley with a club ready to mug you. This is someone robbing a bank without a mask. They don't care about the consequences. They care about right now. They care about what they need, what needs to happen. It's all about action, impulse, intuition. So I've gone back and forth between passion and freedom, but I think for the purposes of a TTRPG, I'm going to call this passion. All right, and that's our red. So last but not least, we have our forest, which is our green card. And green is also, it's a little shaky because in Magic, it's all about primal strength, right? But the way I'm interpreting it through this lens is green is about resilience. It's about equity in a sort of ecosystem, right? It's about simplicity and strength, and most of all, balance. There is a bit of a nature, because of the nature of Magic the Gathering, neutrality, primal nature, things like that. But I think we can encompass this in the form of balance. So we have our 5 ideals, right? There's actually one more. There is, in Magic, there's a colorless, which I'm going to use our ruined servitor. And I kind of think of, for this purpose, I kind of think of colorless as the anti-color. It is sort of the void of color, or it's really all about efficiency or utility. And really, the way I think of this is unaligned, right? In our, sort of TTRPG terms. This is the color that sort of goes against the other colors, right? It sort of takes an anti or an opposite approach. And one way I've sort of thought of this in my head canon for when I'm creating NPCs is if I use something that's unaligned, it kind of goes against the rest of that color, right? Maybe you have a group of passionate pirates, but you have one crew member who was an unwitting ally aboard this crew, right? They're the what's the word they call Bilbo? Now it slipped from my mind. The hesitant hero. That's not the word, but it'll work. The one who gets the job, who doesn't really want to be the hero. This is your character who has ambition, but not the ambition of the group. This is someone who seeks perfection, but maybe in a different way than the rest of Blue. Now, I'm going to get a little ahead of myself here if I get too far into these analogies, but let's take these ideals here of community, perfection, ambition, passion, and balance, and let's take a look at how we might forge an NPC by taking the colors and expounding upon them, right? So what happens when you combine 2 of these, right? You can just use these 5 or 6 colors, depending if you like the unaligned. This could also be your constructs, your robots, your oozes, things like that don't really have a sense of morality or direction or even motivation. But you can also just use the raw 5 to create an NPC on the fly, right? A very simple NPC. But what I want to do is I'm going to take 2 colors and be able to create a pretty complex character on the fly. Because you can say, oh, this person's passionate, right? And then you got to decide what their passion is, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think pretty quickly when you start combining the colors, at least the way I'm seeing it, you start to have a pattern, right? Let's take, for instance, let's pull everybody else away except white and red. What happens when you combine community and passion? Well, you get people who are about a specific cause. These are your crusaders. They're your holy knights. They're your militant armies, right? We have the passion of red with the community of white backing it. So these are your in your world, your factions who are all about these militant ideas. Maybe they champion behind a god or, a powerful leader, something like that. These are your folk who live and literally die for a cause. Yeah, so you have your sort of militant soldier factions. Well, what happens if we swap out just one color? Let's say, where are my cards here? Let's swap out red for black. What does it look like to have unrelenting ambition about your community? Well, this could be a religious group who taxes their people in order to hold the power. This can be your thieves guild with a holy cause. This if you've ever read what is the book? The Lies of Locke Lamora. Slight spoiler for that book, but there is like a thieves guild in there that I think fits this mantra. They're sort of a cult, but they also have like a Robin Hood vibe, like they're robbing the rich to feed the poor, that kind of thing. These are your people who the community and ambition matters. The ends justify the means, but it's for the greater good, right? So this is a pretty complex character. Just from combining these two colors, we've already got something that, if you had your random NPC, you're like, you meet a priest. Well, on the outside, they might just look like a simple priest. But maybe this character has some real depth, and all I did was pick two colors, and already I'm kind of getting a motivation. I'm kind of getting ideals that they stand for. They're starting to solidify in my mind just from that alone. So let's move it one step further away from black, and let's say, here's a pretty complex one, right? Blue and white. So let's pull this away, and let's say perfection through the community. Now this is an extra weird one, because in Magic the Gathering, blue and white is sort of your control colors, right? It's enchanting things. It's keeping everyone in line through taxation, right? These are your... Let's see how to explain this. These are your people who are very rules-oriented. The law is upheld for the sake of perfection. This is kind of your lawful neutral, right? It doesn't care about morality as much. It doesn't care about faith and ideals. It cares about the community for the sake of the community. These are people, I can't remember the Pathfinder name of this group, but there's like a lawful group where it's like, if you break the law in this city, you're getting hanged. It doesn't matter. They don't care where you're from. They don't care if you're a king. You do not break the laws in their land. This is a particularly weird combination, but hopefully you'll see how these can kind of quickly form some ideals. And just to show you guys, this is an idea I had, like I said, while I was playing the game, but I had already been doing this for a while. This is my ocean crawl, island crawl, hex crawl, Shadow Dark game I'm running, right? You don't need this many factions, but I thought it would be fun to create 10 factions. And while I was writing them down, I slowly realized that they are actually just the different colors of Magic combined. We have the Ochre Tower, a bunch of wizards who, this is kind of your Harpers, right? They want to control all the magic in the world. They want to hold all the power in the artifacts, not because they're greedy or selfish, but because they want to protect the rest of the world from this kind of power. This is the Ochre Tower in my setting. We have our Knights of the White Lance. This is our Boros. There are militant knights fighting a holy war for a god that is no longer around, but they want to carry on her mission, regardless of her status. They are zealous They have a fire that burns within them, and they all have a singular cause, and they will die for that cause. We have the Ebon Zenith. This is our blue-black, right? Demir. The Ebon Zenith is like a network of rogues, of spies that have these underhanded ways of doing things, but boy, these thieves have a code. There's honor among these thieves. Let me see if I can find a card example of this. Blue, black, blue, black. Here we go. These are our... Yeah, actually, this is from the D&D set, but this is our human rogue, our band of thieves, our black network, right? These are people who live by a code. They do underhanded, cunning things. You know, they focus on that perfection, but their perfection is ambition at any cost. So yeah, just while I was writing these down, they started to come together, and I was like, hey, 10 factions, they're all the colors, they're already represented here. We have our Alder Flames, which is black-red. It's passion and ambition. This is our death cult, right? These are our Rakdos. They are demon summoners and worshippers. They are revelers. It's Orcus in Magic the Gathering. This is our Prince of Undeath. They don't care who they hurt along the way, as long as their goals, their ambitions are met, and they do it with religious fervor. This ended up being my Alder Flame. These are like the pyromancers who believe the world needs to burn in order to be rebuilt. It needs to be purified through fire. Everything must go, and only the strong will survive. This is just from picking 2 colors. I came up with the feel, the vibes of each of these based on kind of like what I know about Magic. So, all right, where are we next? League of the Unbound. This ended up being my pirate guild because I'm doing a very pirate-centric campaign. Using Pirate Borg and Shadow Dark crammed together. But this is, for me, passion and balance came together in the form of a coalition of unbound states. These are all people that believe, you know, this was freedom for a time, so that's kind of where this is coming from. Freedom through balance. Pirates are like ransacking the rich. They don't care about the laws. What they care about is that their people get what they deserve, and that wealth and equity is spread among all through force if need be. That's where I came up with this one, League of the Unbound. Crammed green and red together. Then we have Molder Crown. This is our Selesnya, which is like elves and stuff in Magic the Gathering. And it is... This one is kind of a weird one too, because it's about balance and community, and usually green is very nature-centric. So this is kind of our druids, our coalition of druids or elves, of people that want to find balance between nature and community. So I came up with Mold Crown. These are the ancient powers of the world. These are treants. There are druids and elves. They're people who believe that community and balance and nature can all find equal standing. All right, we'll keep going. The Copper Consortium. This is it, which means red and blue. Passion and perfection. What that boils down to, for the sake of this exercise, is like artificers and stuff. These are inventors. These are eccentric folks who have a passion for perfection. They want to better the world through knowledge and understanding, through technology, through discovery, through combined scholarly efforts. This is our Copper Consortium, right? This is our, on the other side of the spectrum from our Ochre Tower wizards who want to keep everything for themselves. These people just want to invent for the sake of inventing. They're excited by technology, by, you know, sharing ideas with the world, and everyone is welcome in. So passion and perfection, red and blue, end up looking like is it. All right, going down the line, the Sunken Troop. This was a fun one for me to create personally, because this is one of my favorite color combinations in Magic. But this is our black-green, so it is, you know, balance mixed with ambition, which is almost at odds. This unrelenting ambition mixed with a sense of balance creates a strange dichotomy. It creates necromancers who are willing to use the tools that are present to them. In this case, I've called them the sunken troop because, again, pirate themes. This is our undead legion of pirates. They refuse to give up their ambitions, even in death, to bring about what they wanted in life. The sort of, for this sake of this, the balance of the system. These are pirates who have goals that reach beyond death. They bring their ambition to life by force a lot of the time, but through, what do we say green is? Harmony, resilience, simplicity and strength, neutrality. So they don't care about states. They don't care about kingdoms or countries or laws. They care about the things they wanted in life in this instance. So, yeah, kind of a strange one to mix together. But even there, you can find a way to combine them to get an idea for a character, that, or a faction in this case, that ended up being way cooler than what I had on paper. The name kind of gelled together, and I became very excited about this. This is probably going to be our main group of antagonists in the long run. But you can see how this exercise, it has a lot of fun idea generation behind it, a lot of merit to the use. And if you don't like the colors of Magic, you can come up with your own concepts. I mean, you can use whatever works, because like earlier Twin Steel said, you had a different color wheel replacement alignment house rule kind of thing. I'm sure you can take the same idea, but it's cramming the two together in a very I even made like a D6 table, right? Like if you just want to roll a D6 twice and be like, all right, I rolled perfection and passion. That ended up being our red-blue, which is the is it kind of thing. And this was just a way that it clicked for me because Magic is, the ideals of Magic is so ingrained for me that I literally can be playing a game. Someone can come across an NPC. I can take 5 seconds and just think like, okay, what is this goblin about? Or what is this tribe of goblins about even? And I can say, yeah, they're about community. So they have the white color there. And they're about passion. They're white-red. So this is a militant group of goblins. They have a goal. I might decide what that goal is. I might leave it ambiguous for the time being. And as they play, I might think like, okay, this community is stuck underground. They want to get off this island. They want to get off this island at any means, and they're willing to kill to do it. They follow a leader they believe in. See, already, like, just picking 2 colors, I have like a whole cast of characters being built. And then maybe you have an unaligned character among them who doesn't likes the community, but is unaligned. So it's like sort of the antithesis of that. They believe their community is going in the wrong direction. They believe all this militant action isn't the way, and they're a standout member in the community. And because of that, maybe the players latch on to that NPC and they decide, well, if we help Bingus, if we help Bingus, then maybe we can sort of undermine the leader and set the community on a different non-violent path or something like that. Maybe they're trying to make friends, something like that. So just by choosing 2 of these in the moment, I can say, or even you can even go down the line. You could say these goblins are all about community, but one of them is about perfection. One of them is about community, but more ambitious than the rest. Maybe that's their leader. Most of them are community and passion, that militant. They just want to get things done, and they want to get it done for their community. But maybe one of them is about balance and community and believes this is their elder. They believe the community is headed in the wrong direction, something like that. So hopefully you can kind of see how this gels together, but I'll go with our last 2 examples here just to finish this out for fun. We have the Seraphic Scale. These are my Orzhov. These are my mafia religious group, right? in my world, this is black white together. So it is ambition and community. I'm mixing all my cards up here. Getting too excited with my analogies. All right, so my seraphic scale, they follow a cause. They have a faith in this community, and they have unrelenting ambition. What that ends up meaning, for the sake of this faction, this group of people, is that they are willing to do anything for this community, even underhanded murder. This is my mafioso group of religious militants. They have a very structured way they do things. They do it all by the book, by their code, but they don't care about the costs. They don't care about even the morality of their own sort of religion. So this ends up being kind of another one of our antagonist groups, right? And then last but not least, we have Moonreach. And this is another one of my favorite color combinations because it is balance. It's our green balance. And blue. Perfection. Balance and perfection makes for an interesting combination. This is Golden Ratio is the card I found. When I look around, I see a world defined by patterns that still manages to defy them. This is about perfection through nature, through evolution, through adaptation rather. This is a group, I named them Moonreach because they believe, this cult sort of believes that the powers of the arcane come from the moon. And the closer we can get to the moon, the closer we are in harmony with both worlds. They have this strange sort of otherworldly obsession, right? There's almost like a Cthulhu element to this group. Perfection and balance. They love the homeostasis, right, of everything that happens in the world, but they want to perfect it. They want to lean into nature. They want to understand better. They want mastery over nature and balance. They are strange experimenters. They dabble in the forbidden magics, all for the sake of perfection. So you can see how this becomes a very interesting sort of thing to do. Again, if we go back to the beginning, let's move all my crap out of the way. It all starts with these five: balance, perfection, passion, ambition, and community. And these can be positive or negative. You can make the alignment shift between what is it? Lawful, neutral, chaotic, right? And in this case, this is our neutral sort of. So you can take these ideas, combine two, you can get an instant NPC. You can understand their motives almost intrinsically if you know anything about these colors at all. Or you can just use the raw basic of each color, and you can say, this is a druid. This is not a complex NPC. They just care about the balance of nature. They don't even have quite a community, They don't have a lot of ambition. They're not too passionate about anything other than balance. This is a raw one color. And I bring this up to say this does kind of break down if you do too many colors. This is just a personal feeling of mine, along with, the way Magic the Gathering kind of works. But, you can lean too hard into the color scheme. And you try to put all five in there, and all you get is a big amalgamation elemental of all these sort of things. And this character has balance and perfection and passion, ambition and community, but what are they? They're just a big hodgepodge of these things. They're an elemental. And maybe you're really, really in tune with the ideas of Magic the Gathering, and you can combine three colors. Awesome. That's great. Do it then. But yeah, I say stick to two. I think it's a really good rubric. Is that the word I want for what these characters are that you can create on the fly. Um, and I have been completely ignoring chat this whole time, so I'm gonna jump into chat, see what we're talking about. It's mostly twin steel. Looks like I'm a mold crowd. Nice. Reluctant. Oh, is that for probably for the unaligned? I'm assuming for yeah. Reluctance. In some editions, animals were all unaligned instead of true neutral. Very true. I'm a fan of white green myself. Yeah, we could talk about Magic the Gathering too. Now that this sort of example is over with, but I had a lot of fun doing this. I was thinking about this on my drive back from Page, and maybe I could talk about Page too as well. Or it's just me. It probably is. There's probably a very small Venn diagram of people that are like, I love D&D and Magic the Gathering. That overlap, maybe it's bigger than I think, but that like will use something like this at their table. But it lives rent free in my brain. Like the characteristics of each color are so embedded into me over years of playing Magic the Gathering that I really do. I think of an NPC and I'm like, this guy's pure red. Here's an example. We're playing Shadow Dark. My players meet a Pyromancer. I really didn't write anything down other than Pyromancer, and I just decided he's pure red. He only cares about fire and passion. He ends up belonging to that group, the Alder Flame. Only, but he's severed from the community. He's an outcast even among Pyromancers. So, just with one color, I was like, I've got a whole NPC here. And in fact, he ended up becoming overzealous because the characters found a fire sword. And boy, did he want that fire sword at any cost. So he almost became black-red. He was willing to betray the party if it meant he got that fire sword because it connected him closer to his god and his ideals and things like that. So, and characters can change and shift. You can have a character within a faction who doesn't quite line up, like we were saying, is more unaligned than actually, in perfect combination of some colors. Let's take this one away. Did I show all these? I don't know if I did. Red green is a fun one. Decimate. But yeah, my general rule for this is take two, throw them together. And here, before we change subjects, let's do one more thing. If you don't have a list like this or a die with you, and you just happen to have some magic cards laying around, put the 6 of these together, shuffle them up, and draw 2. Right? It's always fun to carry like a little deck of things to make some decisions with. And if I go, boop, we have a community with balance. We have green-white. That's our character. They ran into a random character in the woods. It's a druid with a whole community of druids backing him. They have a set of ideals. They have a sort of law and order to their natural community of balance. And bam, we just created a faction in 1 second. All I did was shuffle up cards and draw 2. That's why I say, even if you're not steeped in MTG, hopefully the explanation of the colors, and you can always Google like identity of MTG colors, and you get all 6 explained until you like kind of, or it doesn't have to be MTG. It could be the Enneagram, right? It could be, just a set of ideals, sort of generic ideals that either communities or people rally around. Even the idea of community. This is, if you break it down, what do we have here? We have lawful. Let's go lawful, good, perfection. Lawful, not even lawful, chaotic, neutral, ambition, lawful evil, maybe. I don't know. I'm coming up with this on the spot. Passion. That is chaotic neutral, actually. So this needs to be something else. Maybe, I'm thinking unaligned is true neutral, right? Balance is neutral good. Passion is I'm going to say chaotic evil or chaotic neutral, stuff like that. It's not a one for one, but whatever you need to get there with this sort of like combining two motives, it creates more complex characters with granularity to them rather than just one note. Because I found that whenever I just try to come up with something on the spot and I'm like, okay, his motivation is science. I don't know. We'll call that perfection for now. It just ends up being your typical alchemist, right? Who does all the typical alchemist things. He's nerdy. He is kind of klutzy. I just fallen into norms is what I'm trying to say. Whereas if I combine two things, it sort of shakes me out of my mindset and says like, oh, what this time around, what is green blue? This is a group of treants who believe it's their time to be the greatest species on this planet. They believe their evolution moment has happened and that they are at the top of the food chain. So now we have a weird group of treants who are like defying the balance in a way because they're trying to perfect themselves. See, I feel like it jogs your brain and it creates these weird kind of dichotomies or I'm not using the right word here, but juxtapositions, right? Like forces you to get creative with what you have and say like, all right, what's our unaligned, ambitious character? They're sort of anti-ambitious, even among a group of, let's say, necromancers, right? So this is your guy who's like, yeah, you know what? I've been in this circle of necromancers for centuries, and I am so bored. I'm so bored of everyone trying to take over the world and extend their life forever. I'm tired of these guys, and I think they should have all died a long time ago. Like, isn't that a fun character? I don't know. I think this is a really easy tool to get you there in the moment like that. All right. So I'm going to go back to chat for a second. I'm all over the map here. This was the whole plan of the video, though. I just wanted to talk a bit. I got back from Page, and I have a lot of excited energy and nowhere to put it, and I was just thinking about like Magic the Gathering and D&D and ways to combine them. And I think you could even take this exercise to even further an extent. If you have like a bunch of random Magic cards, like you could just say, boom, here's Criddle of Baldur's Gate. Excuse me. This is our leader of our Thieves Guild, right? A legendary half-elf rogue. And you could even take it further if you're familiar enough with like the bridge between sort of D&D and MTG, which I know is not going to be most people, but you could read the either the flavor text or the mechanics and be sort of inspired by it, right? Like, and this is where the idea came about. I was playing a game with Ducky from Peasantry, and he was playing this pirate deck, right? And there was actually, I was saying, I love the flavor text in Magic because I think it like so well suits the themes of the cards. And he was playing a pirate, I think it was like an Assassin's Creed pirate deck or something. Anyway, the pirate mechanics of the deck had like vehicles, and the pirates would man the vehicles, and then they would literally deal damage and steal stuff. They would get treasures in the game mechanics. And I was like, that is so perfect for a group of pirates. What do? They go in, they attack, they hit stuff, they steal their treasure, and they leave. They don't care about what happens. It's just, I think that this is such an easy way to like get your brain, your creative juices flowing and create interesting NPCs on the fly. Even if you wanted to take like, I took all 10 of those factions of colors here, and you want to just go, I have 10 cards here. Let's shuffle up and pull one and decide what the leader of this goblin faction is that we've been creating, right? And boom, maybe it's a weird, it's anti the other colors we rolled, I think we pulled white and red, right? Maybe the rest of the group is white, red. They're all about community and passion. This guy is secretly about his own ambition and balance. He's about, you know, laying low the other goblin tribes in order to create a balance on this island so that no one is on top. And he doesn't care how he gets there because, again, this is our anything goes color, right? And so maybe he even screws over the rest of his group in order to achieve this goal. And then you can even say, you know what, he's a 2-1. What does that mean? I don't know. Two hit dice, one attack, one power. I don't know. You can take so many things to inspire a character, a monster, an NPC using these things. And in fact, I think I'm going to do a video next time. Let me see if I still have this thing in here. I was thinking about this too while I was kind of coming up for what this video was. Whoops. Bonk. You could even probably take this principle. I'm going to have to think about this one before I, do another video like this. But, oh no, is this the wrong... No, this is the right set of cards. Just have too many in my hands. You could even take the... Oh, that's funny. That one's on top. You could take this principle of using like magic cards, and I bet you could do generative, in-the-moment hex crawls using like regular lands, non-basic lands, and you can actually just use the images straight from them to create a scene, right? Because you don't need much to create a scene. You could say there's this, oh man, that one's shiny, this floating island of volcanoes that's riding through, a wetlands and destroying everything in its path. What's causing it? I don't know yet. Maybe I'll pull some other cards and we'll decide that. But just this image alone, right, could give you an entire adventure, just a scene if you want, a hex on a greater map. You could shuffle these up and you're pulling out stuff and you're like, hey, you found a ruins in the middle of a forest, on the cliff of this mountainside. You found a glade where all those druids we were talking about earlier reside. Just some food for thought. I'll have to flesh this idea out a little bit more, but maybe that'll be the next video about, I don't know, D&D prep and Magic the Gathering. All right, I'm going to get back to the chat here. I got really excited about the idea and I stopped paying attention again. Seba's Dungeon has a tarot system to make NPCs that you might find interesting and could repurpose to use for magic cards. There you go. Boom. Yeah, I mean, whatever card system is intrinsic to you, whatever sort of like flavor of colors makes sense to your brain, it doesn't have to be Magic the Gathering. And in fact, I pulled these aside just to say, like, maybe even just the art is what's inspiring you. These are like full art Magic the Gathering cards that I just had laying around. Maybe you, this is from the Hobbit. So this is actually the Shire. Maybe not the best example, but maybe this is like a place that the characters are traveling through. And you just look at the card, then show it to them. You say, like, you see this beautiful land of rolling hills with a river that cuts through it. Simple folk are farming the hillsides, smoking pipes and laughing. Seems like a peaceful place that you've entered. Bam, there's a whole scene or a town, and then you have this character down by the river is this elf with glowing eyes and a wide-brimmed hat riding atop a giant iguana. Who is this character? I want to meet them, or you have your soldier with a giant flaming lucerne. It's like a warhammer, right? And there's a battle going on in the background. You see a castle in the distance. It's just, I feel like we can take the things that we already know and love and we can build upon them. We can use them as set pieces, as blocks to build interesting characters and ideas and scenes. And I just feel like Magic is so naturally suited for games like D&D, fantasy games. It's just crazy, the level of connection to me that is there. And maybe it's just my weird brain that sees that, but hopefully someone out there watches this and they're like, yes, totally, I get it. I see it. I can use that. I can pick 2 colors on the fly, and I have a full NPC created in my mind. Okay. Again, I'm going to jump back into the chats here. Seb has done. Oh yeah, I read that. More nature than nature. This is the problem with reading things later. Rainbow deck. Don't worry, it's just me. Reluctant hero. Yeah, that's the term I was looking for Bilbo. The reluctant hero. That was the unaligned with, I don't remember what it was now, community or something. Anyways, ended up being our reluctant hero. Someone who is a hero of the community, but they never wanted to be in the first place. They just wanted to live a quiet life, that sort of thing. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, did you see Blind Bard? No, what is that? At Page. Yeah, thank you. I'll talk about Page a little bit. Not too steeped in the MTG. I've waxed and waned in my passion. Probably my favorite deck was a mono green Elf Thorn Elemental deck that just brought the mana hard to summon big early. Yeah, I'm not too much anymore, as you can see by me just writing on my cards without caring. I still have a small group of friends that we get together maybe like once or twice a year, and we play like a cube. This is my MTG side rant, but if you have a group of friends, you like playing together, but you don't like the competitiveness of like Magic. Magic gets real like pay to win real fast, right? Like people start building decks specifically to counter your really strong decks, right? And you just want to win, and you just want to stop that combo from happening, kind of thing. And I'm not crazy about that. I'm not crazy about that super competitive style play. So we ended up building a lot of cubes for Cube Draft, which is just like you can Google this, but it's like a specific number of each color, and then you just combine them all into a giant card pool, and you make fake packs that everyone draws from. And the way we do it is like everyone opens their pack, picks a card, and passes it until we all have a deck. And then that way it's like nobody has a super strong broken combo deck usually, or no one's like playing just specifically to hate on that one deck you build, that kind of thing. It ends up being way more casual. We'll have like a whiskey bottle that we all sort of finish throughout the night, and we just have a good time, and we don't care too much. But that's the only way I really play Magic anymore. Occasionally I will play a Commander game because it's a slightly more casual format, but even those decks, in my opinion, have gotten very competitive nowadays. It started out as a more casual format, but has quickly become, pay to win also. So, hello, what's up, RPG Bliss? Also had a red-blue wizard deck with artifacts that gave Death Touch, tap to damage plus damage to kill, power word killing your way through their line. I hate blue though, so it was rather hypocritical. Yeah, not a big blue guy unless it's splashed with another color, right? Like, I think my favorite color combination, I can never get it to work really well, but I just love the weirdness of blue-green, right? Like, I used to have this deck, and it was like all symbiotic frog wizards, right? They would all like graft onto each other, and then I had all the blue cards that would like turn your creatures into 0-2 frogs with no abilities. It was just the weirdest deck. It was like the might of green with the trickiness of blue, and that's the only way I really like blue, is if it's splashed with like that, or blue-black can be fun, but I also don't like mill decks. I don't really play mill ever. I think it's a mean way to win. All right, I'm way behind again. Where was I? New set something. I missed it already. New set has come. New set has some elves in it. Perfection is lawful neutral, maybe. Could be. Lorwyn Eclipsed. Oh, Lorwyn would be such a good set to pull from for like a D&D campaign or a classic fantasy campaign. Lorwyn and Innistrad are my two favorite settings that have ever come out in Magic. Because one is like other way around. Lorwyn is like fairy tale creatures, very storybook. And then Innistrad is like Bloodborne, basically. It's all, monster hunters and vampires and werewolves and stuff. So, elves, baby. My favorite are knights, says RPG Bliss. I love white and always wanted to build a green-white that spoke to me, but I never was able to. Maybe there's a green knight deck in my future. Oh, man, there is a green-white knight deck out there. One of my friends, half built it, and I loved every card in it because the knights are just so cool. Also, decks that, I don't know if this is going to make any sense unless you played a lot of Magic. I like decks that don't hate what you're doing. They just like what you are doing a lot. Or hate what your opponents are doing. They like what you are doing a lot, if that makes any sense. And knights are all bolstering each other and, protection from certain things and, counters and pluses, blah, blah, blah. I am just ranting about Magic at this point. Thank you for watching if you're still here. But go back and watch if you want to hear the actual tips about NPCs. All right. Could be knights tend to be more red-white. There might be some red you could splash in there too. That's true. Wanted to do a samurai ninja deck, but the revamp of how damage is resolved made ninjas kind of weird. I do have a ninja deck. It's blue-black. It's my favorite blue-black deck, actually, because it doesn't mill you. It doesn't just kill all your creatures and leave you with nothing to do. It just bounces around weird abilities and stuff and hits you with ninjutsu. Red Knights. Now you guys are just talking about Magic. A website that helps you find cards. You can go to advanced search. Oh, yeah. Cool. I don't really build a lot of specific decks anymore, like I was saying, but that's probably for you're telling Twin Steel, I assume. Scryfall.com. Yep, YouTube does block links. I think I can give people permission, but I have to do a lot of steps to get there. Well, it sounds like we're just kind of talking Magic now, but I'll give a quick page story just for fun. Actually, the story I want to tell, I can't really. I'm sworn to secrecy. But I had a really good time at Page. It was, I've been to Gen Con now. I've been to PAX. I've been to Page. I've been to a lot of my little local cons. And I think Page is my favorite. It's got this feel to it of a small town con, even though it's got, I don't know, big con energy, if that makes any sense. There's some pretty big names there. There's lots of different games, and I like that there's a variety of games happening. There were a lot of different indie games present there that you could play, which, if you followed my channel for any amount of time, that's my thing. I guess I'll switch this to the big view because I'm just ranting now. But yeah, it was a really good experience once again. I ran into some people that, are some of my favorite folks in this community. Actually, speaking of which, if you didn't watch Wes's video, DM Tales, was that last night? He had a whole bunch of people on that went to Page, and everyone talked about their favorite stuff. And Phil was there. Phil is one of the co-organizers of Page, and he gave a little speech, I guess. I don't know what else to call it, talking about the tabletop community, and that we do ourselves a disservice of just calling ourselves hobbyists, because while hobbies are great, this is a true community that is a burgeoning community. Tabletop games have only been around for 50 years. I'm paraphrasing some of the stuff he said, but it was great. I was just sitting there smiling and nodding my head yes, all of this is it, and that's the kind of people that are organizing and running that con, and I think it really shows through. It's a great con, and I'm going to try to go every year that it makes any sense for me to go. Other than that, I could do my casual name dropping of all the awesome people that I got to see, but I don't know if that's worth saying out loud. But I'll say I did have a really good time. I got to play a game with Kelsey of Shadow Dark, Luke of Pirate Borg, Joseph R. Lewis, who's written things like the what's the adventure with the cool old school looking cover? Ben Milton did a whole review on something under the moon dial. Just a couple of those. Anyway, he was awesome. And then Kepler, who does a lot of the editing and stuff for Pirate Borg, and Michael of Night Noon Games. Michael actually invited me, so we got to play a game that I can't say anything about. It was really fun. It was awesome. I look forward to being able to share details about it, but I want to be invited to more secret games, so I'm not going to spill the beans until I get the thumbs up to do so. It was a blast, and I want to share some of the details, but I also think that they kind of give some things away, so I won't share them until I know that it's cool to do so. But it was one of the wildest and most fun sessions, and such an interesting game. I'm gonna shut up because I'm gonna accidentally say something that I shouldn't. Anyways, all right. I think it's been like an hour. I think we've been going for exactly an hour at this point. If you're just tuning in, I'm gonna be doing. I used to do these at like lunchtime on Fridays for me, so like 1 p.m. But I just got a new job, so I am moving the live streams to now, 8 p.m. on Thursdays. Is it Thursday yet? Other than that, I have this little game called Seven Delving Sins that there is actually a pre-launch page for now, and I'm going to link this in the chat because I'm stinking excited about this. I'm not logged in, so maybe I won't link it. Let's see if I can do it really fast. This is a game that I have been working on and that I'm passionate about and that I'm excited to hopefully bring to tables soon. Yeah, there we go. Link. Copy. And I see. I don't have my own chat pulled up, so you're probably going to hear me doubled up for 2.5 seconds while I do this. But now I'm getting all these Magic the Gathering suggestions, which is hilarious because I'm doing this. Kaboom! There it is. Did it go through? Oh no. I'll try it one more time. Control V. Boom. Okay, there's the link. You can go to the pre-launch. I'm still getting the details together, but we have a core game. We've got art coming in that I'm very excited about, and I to be honest, I don't know when for sure this is going to officially launch. I got to get all my ducks in a row and make sure that I want people to know what the goals they can look forward to are realistically. I will be honest with you guys. I am one dude with a passion project I'm very excited about, and I want great art. I want the quality that I have come to expect of other publishers. I want a cohesive game that looks really good, is well designed and laid out, and is usable at the table. So, I'm gonna put a price tag on this thing that may seem high for like a zine style game, but that's because I want it. I don't have anything in the bank. I'll be real, and I want it to look and feel good and nice, and I want people to, to want this product too. So, I'm excited about the game. I'm excited to see what comes of it, and I hope to write adventures for it in the future. So keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. I will disclose more of that information on my mailing list. You can follow my Substack, which is in the links below. Also, just notify when the game launches if that sounds like a game you're interested in. Anyway, I haven't talked about the pre-launch page at all yet, so I just thought I'd make a quick announcement because I finally got approved. It took a while for it to go through for some reason. All right, well, that's going to be it for tonight. If you enjoyed this video, if you like this idea about NPCs, give this video a like. share it. I don't know. Do all the YouTube things. Thank you guys for being here, especially you, Twin Steel, blowing up the chat over here. I'm going to read some last things before I get out of here. You're talking about control in my mindset of the decks. I've enjoyed most of Thrashers. I had a Cleric, Stuffy Doll control deck. Ooh, that sounds fun. I remember Stuffy Doll. I think I still have one in a Werewolf deck. You should absolutely not drive to Southeast Ohio to go to Final Boss Con, but if you are in the area, we could meet up. I do have some my wife has some family around Ohio, so if I'm ever in that area at that time, I'll absolutely go. What's the nature of the new job? It is a medical equipment technician. So I'm working on medical equipment that people use at home and stuff like that. But it's like a 45 to 50 hours a week job. So that's why I'm probably going to be doing more live videos. Still do the podcast. In fact, Peter from Tales from Elsewhere is going to maybe like be a semi-regular co-host with me on the show, just because with less time with a new job and stuff, it's going to be harder to find people and line them up, you know. So we'll still have guests, but if I can't get a guest, just so that there's a more regular turnout, at least a once a month episode for the podcast, then Peter is my go-to for that. So look forward to doing more talks with him in the future on the Quantum Ogre cast. But okay, I'm really truly rambling, as I always do at the end of these things. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for your support. Hopefully you are as excited about Seven Delving Sins as I am. Hopefully these MTG tools are useful to someone out there. I want to keep making advice videos, not even advice, tools, right? Useful things to use at the table. People are always asking for like concrete ideas or tools for prep and things like that. And I just thought this was a fun one that popped in my brain and that I use occasionally. And I probably use it more now that I've fleshed it out a bit more. So, all right, that's it. Thank you guys. Learn, adapt, grow. Peace.